Hello, and welcome to today's web seminar, Consistently Build Quality Software with Speed, Better ROI, and Effectively Managed Codeless Test Automation, sponsored by QMetry and featuring our speakers Payam and Harshal Vora. Before our presentation begins, let me explain the console. The panel on the right has a feature to chat, ask questions, or poll questions, or download the slide deck for today. If you minimize this panel, just click on the chat button to reopen it. If you experience any technical issues, please let me know by typing in the Q&A panel. I'll be happy to help you. There will be a Q&A session at the end, but feel free to enter your questions at any time throughout the presentation. Finally, to optimize your bandwidth with the best viewing experience, please close any other applications you may have running in the background. The event is being recorded and will be made available to watch on demand. Once the recording is ready, you'll get an email with instructions on accessing the presentation. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Harshal.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome again to today's seminar, where we are going to talk about how to build consistently quality software with speed, better ROI, and how to leverage codeless test automation to achieve all those things. As we are talking on this topic, we have faced initial software glitch where my co-speaker Payam is not able to connect on the video. So apologies for that. But here I am, Harshal. I'll just quickly give you a brief overview on myself. Okay, so we have overcome the software glitch and Payam is available on the camera with us. Welcome, Payam.
Thank you.
So I'll start with a brief introduction about myself. I am the director of product management here at QMetry. Been in the software quality space for 7+ years now, working in different roles, working with customers in different segments, healthcare, fintech, enabling continuous quality processes, and currently at QMetry, leading the vision of becoming the #1 AI-enabled digital quality platform. And I have a pleasure of having Payam, my co-speaker. Payam, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Payam Fard. I'm co-founder and CEO of Subject7. I have 20 years of experience in software development spanning both federal and commercial world. And in pretty much all of the projects that I've been involved with, test automation has always been a challenge because of the mismatch between the tools out there and the skill set of the testers who were doing the testing at the time. Our mission with Subject7 has been to create an easy-to-use test automation platform so that anyone with any level of technical expertise can get in and be able to create as robust of an automated test as somebody with coding skills can without writing a single line of code.
That's great. And thanks a lot, Payam, for joining us today. So before we go and deep dive into today's topic, right, a brief overview on how the software testing has evolved, right? If we talk about software testing, the date goes back into 1980s when the software testing was not actually called testing, but it was debugging, more of a debugging phase, right? Where it was more about how the defects or how the issues were found rather in production rather than having a specific tester testing it out. And so it was an era of resistance where it was more about shipping the software rather than having quality surmount about it. And then came the dot-com boom. That's when the testing become the need of the hour, right? But nobody had time for it because it was still ever evolving era. Everyone wanted to ship the software faster, wanted to get the features out to the consumers as soon as possible. And that's where the things started shaping about in the software industry, with different tools coming out to help the testers with test automation, test management, and all the aspects of it. But the real revolution happened when the mobile technologies around 2010 came into play. And that's where It was more around testing faster, testing longer, and harder. And that's where customer centricity drove the whole process of testing. Um, and Payam, you have been in the industry for 20 plus years. How have you seen this evolution of testing, from manual testing to test automation, or say continuous quality, which is uh, being a buzzword nowadays?
Sure. So pretty much, as you well mentioned, the testing cycle has tremendously reduced, and projects and teams are expected to do testing faster and faster as we have passed each decade. But in 20s, the need to do even faster testing with shortening the sprint deliveries and the sprint cycles and software shifts that we've had, that need has tremendously increased, in the past few years.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, right? Conventional waterfall methodology has converted into agile and DevOps, and that's where this whole mobile revolution or IoT revolution has led us to. Now, if you look at the trend analytics, right? So the World Quality Report in 2021 estimated the total automation in testing to about 15%. And this has grown significantly year over year. And even today, if you look at it, when we talk to the enterprises, when we talk to the customers, most of them want to achieve automation uh, about 80 to 90%. They want to have their front end systems, they want to have their back end systems, and they want to have their end to end processes to be automated. And that's where the World Quality Report has highlighted that this automation is the next phase of this next 5 to 10 years. And the other trend that came out of this World Quality Report is the use of AI as part of it, right? We have seen the growth of AI significantly. 90% growth was experienced in AI, leveraging in testing, whether it's for creating your smart dashboard, smart analytics, or even identifying the flakiness of test, right? So those are some of the AI use cases that has become very relevant as part of testing. And when we marry these two together, right, automation and AI, that's where I feel the codeless test automation has a significant role to play. And that's what we are going to talk today more about. And Payam, I would like you to take away and give us a brief intro into how the test automation has came into evolution phase, and how the codeless test automation is going to take us to the next 10 years of the quality ecosystem.
Sure. So in basically software development, there are two, I guess, conflicting angles that are moving side by side each other. One is the speed of delivery. The other one is quality of the software that is being delivered. So if you are not producing at the speed that your competitors are producing features, bug fixes, and everything, they will chip away from your customers. At the same time, if you increase the speed, there is the possibility that the quality of your software may suffer, which in turn will cause competitors to take advantage of your customers as well. So it's extremely hard to balance these two attributes together in such a way that you are producing at the right speed, but also with the right quality. Now, in order to address both of these, development cycles have been able to improve by introduction of CI/CD tools. But test automation has been lagging. And what projects have been doing to compensate for it is that they have tried to increase or scale up their manual testing efforts. But as we all know, manual testing has its own complications. I mean, there's so much resources that you can throw at manual testing to be able to bring the test execution down to the number of hours that you have. But also at some point, cost will become a barrier, and the project cost will certainly inflate if you start, if you throw more and more bodies to get the testing out faster. So test automation certainly comes to the rescue. It will allow you to get faster feedback from your customers. It will allow you to reduce the potential rework that you need to be able to test your software. It is an essential angle to implement shift left paradigm. It allows you to do faster time to market. And lastly, it is an incremental, it is a necessary means to do lean application delivery for your project.
Yeah, no, that's a good insight. And what do you suggest, right? Where are we going as part of future with this codeless test automation, right? Where do you see codeless automation playing important role compared to the conventional automation tools like say Selenium or nowadays say maybe Cypress, which are not codeless, but they still fulfill the role of automation?
Sure. So basically, as I mentioned, the pace of delivery of software because of CI/CD tools have tremendously, shortened. Now that means really you have less time for testing. So as you well said, adoption of codeless automated testing tools, will be necessary because it essentially widens the a wider range of testers, being business users, business analysts, other stakeholders to be involved. So it's certainly codeless tools accelerate test automation for the project. They maximize coverage of your tests. It will tremendously reduce the manual regression testing that you will need. But as a byproduct of it, it enables exploratory testing that otherwise teams will not have time to do. And by involving other project stakeholders during the test phase, it will basically concentrate all of the stakeholders on testing the software without the need to learn a programming language, reinvent the wheel, and constantly create framework over framework that you have to maintain throughout the life of your project, but also, will be a barrier for business users and, non-technical people to take advantage of. Now, historically, vendors have been producing a feature called record and playback tool, which would sort of, market it as a no-code or codeless feature for people to use them and come up to speed with test automation. But historically, they ended up producing fragile set of automated tests. Mm-hmm. Now, AI has recently come to the rescue, and next generation recorders will allow you to create a robust set of automated tests by doing the recording by any stakeholders in the project, and allowing you to not to have fragile set of automated tests.
Yeah, and conventionally, this I have seen the quality leaders being skeptical about this recording and playback kind of tools, right? So I think leveraging AI as part of this whole automation journey is a good idea. And AI is enabling this codeless automation where a user did not write a piece of code, but they can still generate automation out of it. And it brings this whole overall collaboration piece as part of it. So, according to you, right, what are some of the tangible outcomes as part of this entire codeless automation adoption?
Sure. So as the quality of your software goes up because you're doing more testing by more project stakeholders throughout the life cycle of your project, the end user satisfaction as a byproduct will go up. And as a result, it turns into increase in revenue for the project and for the company. Um, since we are empowering all stakeholders to do automation, it increases the efficiency of the team, and in turn, it will minimize the expenses because you no longer have to hire more expensive resources to be able to create frameworks and to do test automation, and will allow you to deliver your software and your releases with confidence, and certainly reduces time to market.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I remember we were talking regarding one of your implementation where one of your e-commerce customer, where they had about 5,000 regression test cases running across five different browsers, and having 6 weeks regression cycle, and using this codeless automation implementation, they were able to reduce that 6 weeks to what about say 8 hours there or something like that. So
Correct.
that's
Correct.
that's a
Yes, they have been
significant.
able to do that, but also, reduce the having those many testers being bogged down during the duration of testing, and sort of hand off that work to few virtual machines, so that those testers can free up to do more exploratory testing. And the last point on that is, further, they have been able to do that uh, every day on various environments, as opposed to previously they were only able to do it once per release and only in one environment.
No, that's a great ROI, I feel, and speaks to the volumes that codeless automation can benefit to. And some of the additional benefits that I would like to highlight with this codeless automation is it comes with inherently the integration, right? Integration with your native agile and DevOps tools that you are leveraging within the organization. And the other aspect that has come up is the unified automation, right? You have your testing to be across web, mobile, or even say mobile web technologies. But not, I have seen enterprises where they have to test across tools like SAP, they have to test for Oracle suite of applications, they have to test for uh, ERP systems, right? And that's where I feel having different tools is becoming a challenge. And a codeless tool with a unified automation approach, where you can have your functional test automation, but also the non-functional test automation, where you have load testing, security testing, or even say for that matter, accessibility testing is important. And that's where I feel a test automation that can cater to all this multiple platforms, multiple applications for enterprises is going to be a winner as part of that. And the other aspect is reducing the cost. As you mentioned, right? They have a ability to run this test every day, bring on everybody on the team to collaborate, whether they are testing team, the engineering team, product team, business users, everybody contributing to the quality, and hence increasing the quality of the software, where they can release the software with confidence. Again, the time savings that we discussed, right, from 6 weeks to 8 hours, is tremendous amount of time savings. They can have this regression cycle running every day, as opposed to one per release cycle. And last but not the least is, as I said, release with confidence, because we know everyone has tested it at every aspect of the delivery, and now we can release with more confidence. And that brings us to one of the important aspect is, again, the global testing market remains very positive, right? We have seen that the valuation as of 2021 is about $1.5 billion market, and this is just for the codeless test automation tools. And there is plethora of other tools out there that still promote this, but we have seen, or there's the analysts are expecting this growth by 2031 to be 15.5%. So almost 16% growth in these codeless automation tools. And these tools have been there forever, right? So as I mentioned, since 2000s, the testing tools came into market, whether it was Mercury back then, or whether it was QTP back then, or functional tester. And these tools have been coming up, and with uh, the advent of AI, this codeless automation testing market is supposed to grow at a rapid pace. And that's where how, as a test automation practitioner or as a quality practitioner, how can any user achieve this codeless automation? Because there is a skepticism around this, right? Whether I have burnt myself using codeless automation tools like Selenium RC or say UFT. How do you ensure that when you adopt a new codeless automation tool or migrate from your existing tool to a new codeless automation tool, uh, what are the best practices to achieve that true codeless automation? So, Payam, you have implemented this for many customers in federal space, in commercial space. Why don't you walk us through that?
Sure. So essentially, to migrate from what projects are doing to a true codeless, and I will explain why we call it true codeless automation as opposed to just codeless, is that, as you will mention, Selenium is being used, in both federal and commercial spaces a lot. So what we've done is that we are allowing projects to be able to bring their existing Selenium code first day, point them to Subject 7 test automation executors, and be able to run them within the cloud infrastructure to allow them to infinitely scale and do parallelization of their test execution, and then have unified reporting for them. Now, so first they essentially think of it that you are changing your Selenium grid and pointed to a codeless test automation tool. Now what you've done with that is that you're essentially enabling business users, business analysts, and other project stakeholders to be able to use the visual capabilities of a codeless tool to be able to create additional test flows that otherwise the team members were not able to do. And also with those visual capabilities, have them the ability to be able to modify and maintain existing set of automated tests. Now, the reason we call it true codeless is that, as we talked about historically, record and play tools have allowed you to create these automated tests quickly, but maintenance of those automated tests were not so codeless. You either had to go back to your development team and have them modify third-party generated code, or you had to ask your testers to constantly re-record the test automation that they have done from sprint to sprint or release to release, which had its own issues to begin with. So the term true codeless comes into the picture because the AI-enabled record and playback tools will first of all allow you to create robust set of automated tests. If and when the application under test changes, your workflows change. The visual aspects of these true codeless tools will allow you to easily modify the impacted portion of your automated tests to bring them back live and have those automated tests essentially match the changes with the application under test. These true codeless tools will also allow you to connect to cloud to be able to easily and infinitely scale by launching virtual machines to give you the true power of parallelization that you need to be able to bring the execution of your test cases or regression tests down to the time that is of interest to the project.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And how do you envision when we talk about the shift left, right? When the testers want to start automation even before the application is available. How does this true codeless automation tools leverage that even when the UI is not available, right? That's an important aspect as well as part of this codeless automation.
Sure, no, absolutely. I guess what our clients have been able to do is we promote test-driven development. So we have capabilities in the tool that will allow our users to put in building blocks, if you will, that are essentially mocked sort of objects that will allow you to simulate log in, log out, and then various portions of your test automation. And then as dev team puts in I guess capability to allow the actual login and log out of the application, and it gets outside of the mode of wireframes.
Mm-hmm.
These mock objects will get replaced by automation steps, either via the AI-enabled recorder or through the visual way of creating these steps. So as developers produce code, you will be able to essentially replace these mock objects with the actual set of flows to exercise those portions of the code.
So the Subject 7 platform does allow for shift left as well as shift right, depending on how you want to automate. That's great.
Absolutely. Yes.
And how do you tackle the problem of this whole maintenance, right? I think you did touch upon it a little bit, but I think it would be useful for us to understand how to prevent this whole test flakiness, how to identify why the automation is not working properly when the application changes from one version to another version.
Sure. So I guess a big contributor to the flakiness of the tests are how these, I guess, web elements, web locators, widgets on the screen, or objects on the screen have been defined, which our AI-enabled recorder will be able to resolve that. Further, the self-healing capability and feature that we have will be able to detect these object changes and be able to auto-fix the tests so that they continue working. And further, we have implemented a lot of Selenium best practices, whether it's timing of Selenium, whether it's how you would do types of waits that you do, how you will handle asynchronous objects versus synchronous objects within your application. We've put in a lot of those best practices into the platform, and we have abstracted out all of the coding of it so that as somebody who is non-technical, you can easily get in and take advantage of all of those best practices, while other technical members of the team are not crippled by not having access to a programming language. Essentially, everything that you do with programming language is also available to you, so that any and all stakeholders are all satisfied. And with the self-healing feature that we have put in place, essentially we are allowing automation for automation.
Yeah, no, and I have seen that in action with our joint customers that we have. And speaking of that, right, I would just like to highlight how the QMetry and Subject 7 are coming together as part of this whole integration ecosystem, building entire feedback loop and visibility, traceability for all the customers, right? So a lot of our joint customers have realized this benefits, that ROI that we are that we talk about, the speed and the release confidence that they have been able to achieve. And that's because that we have this end-to-end integration where QMetry becomes the source of truth when you want to make a go or no go decision of your release, where it has all your testing aspects, whether it's your manual testing, your automation testing, your performance testing, security testing. And Subject 7 becomes uh, the source for all your automation needs. It's a unified automation for your, say, your mobile, or you want to even have your non-functional testing. Everything, all the results come back into your automation platform and back to QMetry by integrating through APIs, integrating through your DevOps tools. And then QMetry with its AI engine is able to give you insights whether you are good to go with your release, or if there are any changes that need to be happening as part of that. And end-to-end traceability, like tracing it back to your user stories, tracing it back to what's failing, and whether uh, how it impacts. This whole risk-based testing is leveraged as part of QMetry test management and Subject 7 automation platform. And that's where, Payam, if you can talk more about this whole single unified platform that you have built, right? How it enables end-to-end user flow would be helpful.
Sure. So the problem that we have seen over the years, going from one project to next, is that there are various tools employed by projects to be able to sort of accomplish different aspects of testing that the projects need. So testers constantly go from their development environment with their Selenium framework written on it to tools like Postman and SOAP UI to do their web service or API testing. Then they move to a database utility tool to do database testing, and then have to code verifications or validations that they need to do on PDF and Excel. And then if they want to do security testing and non-functional testing, they cannot reuse these automated tests that they've created, and they have to go through yet additional series of tools to do security, accessibility, and load testing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this is that once you get the project team members on board, if there are any turnovers in the project, it will be extremely hard to replace these folks, but more importantly, have somebody who knows all of these tool sets pretty well to be able to essentially drive the rest of the automation or different aspects of testing for the team. What we've done is that we've created an end-to-end test automation platform. Whether you are doing user interface testing on web, desktop, and native mobile, whether you are doing middle tier testing, being API, microservices, REST, SOAP, and all of those things, whether you are doing testing on the back end, being database, SSH, PDF, and Excel, you can do all of it within the same platform, same look and feel, same everything. So anyone can do it without writing a single line of code. But more importantly, once you have enough automated tests inside of the platform, now you can reuse them for non-functional testing needs, such as security testing, accessibility and or 508 testing, as well as load and performance testing. That means even security testing, accessibility and load testing can be gone the paradigm of shift left, so that you no longer have just one security person in the team fearlessly doing security testing like 2 days before the release goes out to make sure that there are no security vulnerabilities in the software. It can be done by developers, can be done by testers, by business users early on during the sprint, so that when you get down to 2 to 3 days before the release, you no longer have to worry about those vulnerabilities. You can do more and more exploratory testing on all aspects of functional and non-functional.
Yeah, no, that's great, and thanks for that overview. So, with that, I'll lead our listeners to what's next that Subject 7 and QMetry are building together as part of this entire vision of making codeless automation more accessible, more robust, and give that end-to-end ROI to deliver the software quality. that we are looking for, or not we are, but our customers are looking for, right? So um, I'll start with the QMetry vision, right? The QMetry, as I mentioned, we have the vision of making QMetry as the number one AI-enabled digital quality platform, whether it's for your test management needs, your manual testing needs, your automation testing, test analytics. And what we have done is we have created a platform which enables this different views, right? Whether you have your analytics platform where we are leveraging AI to give you insights into uh, what is your release and what is your sprint uh, churn out, right? How much, what is your burn rate for that? What are your defect leakages? What is the test flakiness, right? You want to have that overview and identify that early in the life cycle. We also allow you to do the risk-based testing, leveraging our QMetry wisdom and QMetry quality metrics, which leverages a lot of predictive and prescriptive analytics algorithms, leveraging AI and machine learning techniques as part of it. And we have also built something specific for the compliance industry, where your healthcare industry, for specifically for 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, and looking at the fintech or financial industry, the audit and compliance module enables that continuous process improvement and monitoring with these audit compliances. Also, for the federal sector, we have this entire accessibility VPAT reporting available as well. With QMetry, we are trying to cater to the quality needs of multiple industries. Underneath that, we have, again, as I mentioned, we have created this integration ecosystem which integrates into your automation, your DevOps, your agile tools, right? So you don't need to worry about replacing your existing tools and creating these integrations again. You have these integrations out of the box, and when you're talking to move to the next future, uh, you want a tool that comes with ready-made integrations, right? And the open API architecture enables QMetry to have this new integrations built over and over again. And similarly, Subject 7 has built the same kind of platform. And Payam, you already touched upon a little bit, but if you want to expand over here, how this transition to codeless is going to happen in future.
Sure. So basically, with Subject 7, as we discussed, it's a single platform that will allow you to transition to codeless without the need to learn a programming language, without the need to be technical whatsoever. It removes all of the burden of configuration to be able to integrate with all sort of execution engines and or integrate into Selenium grids of the world. All of those configuration and installation and everything have been abstracted out for you, so that as project stakeholders, we only concentrate on the testing of our application, which really what translates to bottom line for the long run. It gives you all sort of a platform so that you can do all sort of functional and non-functional testing. It fits well within your DevOps and Agile ecosystem with various native plugins that we have created for you, and also for any other DevOps tools or build systems that you may be using that we do not have a native plugin for at the moment. We have various REST APIs exposed so that you can easily do the type of integration that you would like to do on your end to give you that 360 view into your automated test and everything that essentially will lead to the success of your project testing.
Yeah, and this is what our vision is, right? As Subject 7 and QMetry platform collaborate together, make it an interchangeable platform where users need not worry about their end goal. Whether they are using QMetry or Subject 7 platform, they will be able to attain their end goal of releasing a better software. And also, we have seen our end users getting the benefits out of enabling everyone on their team, whether those are manual testers or your automation testers, or even from that matter, your product owners, creating that visibility across the board and traceability from the inception of the idea all the way to the shipment of the product. The QMetry and Subject 7 integration has been able to create that uh, accountability across the board for everyone. And that's where I think I would highlight the key benefits for test management and test automation integration, right? It will accelerate the entire testing platform, right? It will like where you will get as a user more control of your quality processes. You will get more visibility into quality processes and identify the scope for automation, right? What needs to be automated versus what can be automated, and what is the ease of automation. That's where I feel this whole codeless automation is going to enable and accelerate the testing process. It will also allow you to seamlessly test your different applications across multiple browsers, multiple mobile devices, multiple platforms that you have to envision. The third thing is the error management, right? With the AI, we are able to bucket what are the defects, whether those defects are related to your test management, test automation, or whether those are test data issues, right? Identifying those things is an important aspect as well, and this will help reduce the cost of overall testing, where you will be able to identify the issues in your test automation earlier in the life cycle rather than later in the life cycle, and thereby achieve continuous testing, right, across all the environments. As Payam mentioned, you have uh, with this whole migration to the cloud, the continuous testing becomes much more uh, relevant when you want to leverage the cloud infrastructure as part of it, whether it's your testing against your Azure cloud or testing against your AWS cloud or Google cloud. Everything becomes a continuous testing ecosystem. And then the CI/CD, right? Whether you are doing your test automation, whether you're doing your deployment automation, it becomes an end-to-end feedback loop for your DevOps teams, your quality teams, or as people in quality like to call it, dev test ops, right? And it becomes deterministic and repeatable process. So, as a quality leader, I can plan better for the outcomes that I want as part of the enterprise. Uh, we want to, and we are going to this new age where Web 3.0 is coming, right? With this advent of cryptocurrencies and NFTs, new and new technologies are evolving. So, how, as a quality, we are able to have this deterministic and repeatable processes that can be leveraged across newer technologies, with this metaverse uh, and different applications that need to be supported in terms of keeping pace with the technology. And last but not the least is the consistent deployment of this quality software. So I think this becomes key as part of marrying the test management and test automation. Yes, there is a school of thought that test management is not required, but without test management, there is no visibility into what's happening with your testing ecosystem, what's happening with your quality of the software, how you can optimize different processes. And that's where I think leveraging test automation and test management together is going to benefit to all the different users, and at the end, enterprises. Payam, would you like to add anything to this?
No, you covered it all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we have about 15 minutes left. I will like to open the floor for any Q&A. Um, there would be, as Sarah mentioned, there would be a Q&A session, and we can take any questions that anyone has. And we would be happy to answer any questions around codeless automation, DevOps, test management, automation. Okay. See if we have any questions coming in.
Harshal, there are a couple questions in here.
Sure, Sarah.
So John S. says, how does codeless testing impact existing SDETs? Will companies begin to hire traditional quality analysts?
So I guess it doesn't really impact the existing SDETs, right? So the fact that existing SDETs have knowledge of Selenium, knowledge of Appium, knowledge of overall test automation and the type of issues that appear in test automation, how to set up the data, how to create environment where outside of the type of automation tool that you use, how can you produce robust set of outcome as you run these automated tests? Those skill set are things that can still apply to codeless automation tools. You will need to have that kind of expertise, but it will widen, it will enable essentially all of the stakeholders to be able to contribute to these automated tests while they may be missing the the knowledge and expertise that the SDET folks will have. The way I see this changing is that because of the lack of enough SDETs in the market, what projects end up doing is they put people into 8 weeks, 12 weeks of learning how to code Ruby and Python and all of those things. Those things, those kind of, I guess, efforts will no longer be needed because the stakeholders already know the application that they want to test, and SDETs and existing ones can certainly add to the mix with the expertise that they currently have.
Yeah, and just to add to that, right, the codeless automation platform is to aid the process of testing, right? So it's not going to take away what SDETs are doing right now. It will still require the expertise in testing, right? Whether you are coding, whether you are non-coding, you're manual testing or quality analyst. The idea with codeless automation is to bring collaboration, whether it's your SDET or quality analyst, to one platform and uh, make the process faster rather than, and as Payam mentioned, right, rather than investing time in learning new scripting languages, it's time to leverage AI to make automation much more robust. I think there is another question around, does codeless automation capable of working with dynamically rendered DOM elements? I think that's a very interesting question as well, Payam, that we get asked a lot, right? Specifically around Salesforce technologies or any JavaScript-based web applications where the DOM elements are constantly changing. How do codeless automation tools tackle that?
So the short answer is absolutely. We have clients who are using, our codeless test automation tool for testing Salesforce, Workday, Oracle Fusion, and others. They all have dynamic elements as part of them, and our AI-enabled engine will basically give you all you will need to be able to handle and interact with dynamically rendered objects or elements.
Yeah. Right. Let's see if there are any other questions.
Harshal, I have one. How will I know if my team is ready for codeless test automation?
That's a interesting question, right? If you have been asked a question that how do we start test automation, or where do I start with, what are the right tools for me to adopt for automation, then the answer is you are ready for test automation, right? You know that you need codeless automation. You need to build your application automation faster. Uh, I feel that's when you need, and as we saw, right, automation is the need of the hour, where everyone needs to start building and shipping applications faster. So you need to have a robust system to test it, and automation is the way that it will help around that.
Right, we have a question from Lynn. How do you manage your automation with CI/CD pipeline?
So with CI/CD pipelines, basically you have defined the workflow of how you are going to be orchestrating your build, how you are going to be deploying, and all of those things. Test automation essentially fits right into the right at the core of this process, and will at any point within your CI/CD pipeline, you just define that, whether it's upon developer check-in, whether it's end of the day, or any other trigger that will cause these automated tests to kick off. With proper plugins, they will get kicked off. They will get distributed and executed on the cloud. That will get you the results back, and then with the integration that we've done to external BI tools and otherwise, you can certainly have the results be displayed in your type of dashboard that is employed by your project. So it's just automation just fits right into your CI/CD pipeline, and is a necessary and a component of the whole process that has been missing for the most part.
Yeah, and that's where I feel the integration with QMetry will come into play as well, where the entire automation results, or managing your automation with the CI/CD pipeline, will have visibility across the board with the test management integration. Right. So there's another question that says, does the tool easily handle tests that need to make validation in both web UI as well as in the database?
Absolutely. That's where the end-to-end part of the platform comes into the picture. Even better, you can write a single test that interacts with your web-based app, does validation against the database, does validation against some sort of external REST APIs to make sure that your integration with external systems are in play. Then bring up a native mobile app to do some interactions there, and then bring on your desktop admin tool to maybe do some administration behind the scenes. You can do all of that with an end-to-end test automation tool, which is also codeless.
Perfect. And this is another question which says, if I have an existing set of regression tests which is done in Selenium and Appium, how can I leverage this codeless automation tool to start my automation, as well as reuse the assets that I already created?
Sure. So basically, you have your existing Selenium and Appium code in your sitting in your GitHub, GitLab, your configuration management tool. All you will need to do first day is to point them to Subject 7 Cloud. Your automated tests will run on the Subject 7 Cloud infrastructure. It will get you unified reporting within the Subject 7 portal. So firstly, you are not losing anything. You have essentially everything that you need. But what that will give you is that now the other stakeholders can get into Subject 7, use the same infrastructure, same reporting mechanism, same cloud to write more tests, whether they are UAT tests, acceptance tests, other types of tests. They can complement what your technical team has written and benefit from a shared common infrastructure.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Another question which says we use quality center for test management. Can we migrate easily to QMetry Subject 7 ecosystem? Yes. So we have built this migration utility which can migrate you out of ALM or quality center easily, and get all your test assets to QMetry test management as well. So if you are leveraging legacy tools, we have the inbuilt integration with tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, or any CI/CD tools. Uh, and you also get the codeless automation integration with Subject 7. So say even you're leveraging your say UFT test or say Selenium test, then you are not going to lose all of that. You will be able to carry it over to this entire digital ecosystem that we just talked about. Okay. Any more questions? We have 4 more minutes to the end of the session.
So while we get, I guess, additional questions, just for the more technical folks, for the aesthets on the call, please note that we are not trying to take away any of the capabilities you have. I mean, anything that you have with programming language, all the power of the programming languages that you're using, you still have. We are just trying to enable other stakeholder, other team members who are not comfortable writing code be productive and be able to contribute to the set of automated tests for the project as a whole.
Yeah, and that gets us a question, right? How do you leverage complex scenarios where I need to bounce back from one application to another application? Do I need to do coding in that scenario? Do you support coding in any scripting languages?
So to handle the scenario that you mentioned, you don't have to specifically resort to coding for this specific scenario that you just talked about. That said, we do support coding. So if there are one-off tasks that you would like to do, let's say FTP to a site, copy some files over and things of the like, you still have the power of the programming language, and you can write plugins for the tool and extend the capabilities of the tool as much as you like, keeping in mind that if you're still comfortable as a portion of your test automation team, you would like to still write Selenium and APM code, by all means, you can certainly do that.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
We have just a few minutes. Why don't you tell people where they can reach you if they have more questions, want to reach out?
Sure. Yeah. So you can reach out to me or Payam. And here are some of the additional details. You can mail us at info@qmetry.com. Me and Payam, we both are available on LinkedIn, very active. So you can reach out to us on LinkedIn as well. And we would be happy to answer any follow-up questions. We would be happy to show the products, show the capability of the product that we have built together with Subject 7's codeless automation and QMetry's test management, test analytics platform. I think we would be able to deliver the ROI that the enterprise are looking for. Payam, you want to add anything?
No.
Sure.
All right. Well, that brings us to the top of the hour. So I want to conclude our program today with a thank you to Payam and Harshal for their time and for QMetry for sponsoring the web seminar. And of course, a special thank you out to our audience for spending the last hour with us. We hope that you have a great day and hope to see you at a future event. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks.
you, everyone.